Once again, you are welcome to the Rock Tutorial Learning Made Easy. Please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Also like, share, and leave a comment. Thank you. Now we are moving to the second part of our discussion. Having done the objective part of English language, now we want to consider the paper 2. And this paper 2 can be divided into 3 sections. We have section A, we have section B, and we have a section C. Under the section A, you are advised to spend about 15 minutes on this section. You will definitely be given the 5 questions, of which you are to answer any one of your choice. That section A contains letter writing, which could be formal or informal. Then we have a essay, which could be narrative. Sometimes they could give you publications to write, and sometimes it could be argumentative essay. And then the last but not the least is the narrative essays, where you are going to be given, it could be an idiom, it could be a proverb, in which you are going to write a story to illustrate the idiom. What I'm going to do in this section, I'm just going to give you some tips to write good essays and good letter writing. So let's begin with what you have here. Question number 1. Write a letter to your friend in another school telling him or her about your future career and how it is beneficial to your country. A letter to your friend. So we are talking about a letter to your friend. That kind of letter is an informal letter. Any letter written to any of your relatives. It could be your father, it could be your mother, it could be your sister, it could be your uncle. Any of your relatives, either nuclear, extended, and a compound family. So any letter written to any of them, we call it informal letter writing. And each letter writing has its own features. Like informal letter writing, you begin with the address, and that's the address of the writer or the writer's side of the paper. After the address of the writer, you have the date. Many mistake that the date is part of the address. Date is never part of the address. Just that the date is written just below the address. And so we always ask the question that between the address and the date, can I leave a line? There's nothing wrong if you leave a line. And if you don't leave a line, nobody will penalize you. So after that, you move to the salutation. So the salutation, we are going to mention the name of your friend. There's nothing like a dear friend. There's no one that bears the name friend. That your friend must have a name. You mention the name of that your friend. Whether Olumide, dear Olumide, dear Tayo, you mention the name of that your friend. So, and then from there, before we go too far, there's something that's very important, whether in letter writing or in essay. We call it mind mapping. It's as good as somebody wants to build a house. Before you build a house, you have to go to the planners to help you draw a plan, which the baker will have to follow. So the same thing with essay or letter writing. So you have to do mind mapping. What and what do you want to write? You have to itemize them, list them in order before you begin to write. Any letter can be divided into 3. We have the introductory part, we have the body of the letter, and then we have the concluding part of the letter. At the introductory part, we are going to introduce what the question demands from you. Like in this case now, make sure you do what the question demands from you. The question states, write a letter to your friend. Mind you, not to your father, not to your mother. Write a letter to your friend. And what does the question have to do? Telling him or her about your future career. So you will be able to mention that career. Then after mentioning it, the second part of the question says, how will the career be beneficial to your country? So we are going to discuss the career, that's number 1. Then number 2, you are going to discuss how it's going to be beneficial to your country and to the people in your immediate surroundings. So having said that, the other thing that is very important in letter writing and essay, and that is the issue of paragraphing. Letters, essays are supposed to be written in paragraphs. Many candidates they make the mistake of numbering their essays. It is an anathema. You don't do that. You don't number an essay, neither do you number a letter writing. What you use paragraph. Each point must occupy a paragraph, and each paragraph can be divided into two. We have the topic sentence and we have the supporting details. With the topic sentence, you are going to introduce the topic that you want to discuss in that paragraph. And after that, all other explanation you want to give of that topic and other examples you want to cite, we have to form part of the supporting details. Another thing I want to say is that always make sure you make use of a transitional words whenever you want to write. It is very, very important. Like for the opening paragraph, you can say to start with. That's the transitional words. And as we get along, you can say also, in addition, furthermore. It is very, very wrong. Some people, a student will say firstly, secondly, thirdly, fourthly, fifthly. No, it's very, very wrong. Instead that you say to begin with, you can say secondly, you can say also, you can say in addition. And once an examiner sees any of these transitional words, you know that you are already in another paragraph and that you are discussing a new topic entirely. And make sure that each of the topics are linked together. You must not talk about them in isolation. And having said that, we now go to the closing remark. We call it closing remark or complimentary close, where you have under examination condition, students are strictly advised that you make use of yours sincerely or yours affectionately. Either of the two is acceptable. There's not like yours ever, yours truthful, your lover, your this. No, under examination condition is not allowed. But when you are just writing to your friend, you may decide to use anything you like. So, and after that, you are going to put a comma. Mind you, yours, without any apostrophe before the S. Yours, without any apostrophe before the S. Yours sincerely. Capital letter Y, small letter S for sincerely. Then at the end of sincerely, you put a comma. And after the comma, then you write your name. Your name, the one that your friend knows you about. Mind you, make sure you touch the content of the question. And what is the content? Write a letter to your friend. Tell him or her about your future career. It's very, very important. Then after that, how will that future career be beneficial to your country? Having said that, I want to talk about how essays are being marked. On general note now. Some students believe that we don't have time to count. The examiner will not count. We do count. What we simply do is that when you pick your paper, we look for one line at the opening paragraph that starts from one edge to the other. We count the number of words we have there. We get to the middle. We count another line. We get to the last paragraph. We count another line. Make it 3 lines. We add the number of words together. For example, the first line you have 9 words on the line. The second line, you have 8 words, make it 17. And then the last line, you now have 30 words, then making 30 altogether. Then you divide the 30 words by 3. And once you divide by 3, then you have 10 words per line. So we will now assume that you write 10 words per line. So in that case, for your essay to make up to 450 words, that means you have to write 45 lines. So when you multiply 45 lines by 10, then you get 450 words. And that is the expected length. You are going to be marked on content. If you write anything short of that, they are going to mark you less. So make sure you write the required length, and that is 450 words. It is very, very important. Then how do you mark either essay or letter writing? That's what referred to as a content, that is C, content. Then we have an organization, that is O. Then we have an expression, EXP. Then we have an MA, that is mechanical accuracy. For the content, it is 10 marks. Organization is under 10 marks. Expression is 20 marks. Then the mechanical accuracy is 10 marks, making 50 marks altogether. For you to score well, I've been marking now over 10 years. Almost 15 years ago, I've been marking. I've never seen any candidate that scored more than 23 over 50 in essay. I do know the reason is because, number one, hardly could you see a student, a candidate, who is scoring 1/10 under mechanical accuracy. It is 0/10. And this is because once you have a grammatical errors up to 20 times, we call it rings. Rings. What you are supposed to write a capital letter, if you write a small letter, will ring. When you are supposed to write a capital letter, will ring. So all those things, by the time you now put them together, if it's up to 20 rings, definitely you are going to have 0 under mechanical accuracy. And there's another thing that students don't take care of. If you write out of content, you are going to get 0 under content, 0 under mechanical accuracy. And for mechanical, for expression, you are going to be marked out of 8. And there is no how that candidate can pass. There is no how. So make sure you always do what the question asks you to do. Like the first one we've considered, write a letter to your friend. Don't write to your father. Don't write to your mother. And he said, tell him your future career and how it's going to be beneficial to your country. That is question number 1. Let's go to question number 2. The National Scholarship Secretariat is organizing an essay competition on the topic, the menace of fake drugs in the society. Write your entry. Like you see that one is not a letter. It's just an essay they have to write. It's not even an article, just an essay. What to do is that you write the topic of the essay. And what is the topic? The menace of fake drugs in the society. Some will ask that when I write a capital letter, do I need to underline? You can underline. It doesn't change anything. It will make your word to be very neat and neater. So then you discuss menace of fake drugs. What is drug? You start by defining what drug is all about. Don't assume that the examiners know the definition of drug. No. Don't just assume. Then after you define what drug is all about, then what are fake drugs? When we talk of fake drugs, what are the implications? What are the effects on the people and on the society? What has it caused? Then under that, you can even talk about drug abuse. You have some people using Colorado, using Tramadol, using Panadol, using so many things. Seeing your friend holding a bottle of Coke, that doesn't mean that that person is drinking Coke. Sometimes they will put so many things, so many drugs, added them together. So you have to talk about the effects, the implication on the health of people, on the society, and everything. So that is on the essay aspect. So let me go add this to it, and that is under narrative essay. Narrative essay, you are supposed to write a story. Because it's a story, don't write a story that is not real. It may not be your personal experience. It could be the experience of another person that you were told. But don't write something that is not real. In that kind of story, you are not expected to use animal character. No. You use human character. You talk about something that happened, whether to you personally or to another person. And aside that, when you're writing story, it is something that has happened in the past. Your tense must be in the past tense, because you are recording what has happened in the past. And your story must be able to reflect, to match the idiomatic expression you are given. For example, you are given, as you lay your bed, you lie on it. Or you say, what you sow, you will reap. Your story must be able to match with it. Not just writing. So we just write like 8 pages, 9 pages, at the end of the day. They ended up scoring 10/50. Why? Because the story they have told has no relevance with the topic they were given. That is the same thing. Now let's move to the next one. As a former senior prefect, write a letter to the principal of your school on the occasion of his 60th anniversary celebration, congratulating him and offering 3 suggestions for the improvement of the school. Many students, they fail this question. We call this question 2 in 1. The first assignment there is that write a letter to your principal. Congratulate him on the occasion of his 60th anniversary celebration. That's one aspect. There are marks allotted for that aspect. And the other aspect is that you are to suggest 3 ways, at least 3 ways by which the school can be improved. That's another aspect. So there are marks allotted for the first aspect, there are marks allotted for the second aspect. But students, they make the mistake. They only answer the first aspect at the expense of the second aspect. And by so doing, they score low marks. And for you to score good mark in essay, under content, under organization, at least you must be able to raise at least 3 very good points. At least very strong one. You can have other ones that are not strong, but at least 3 points. And each point must occupy a paragraph, like I said initially. And each paragraph must contain at least 9 to 11 lines. At least 9 to 11 lines. And while writing the paragraph, you must be able to make use of different types of sentences that we have. That will not make your work to be very monotonous and very boring. There are some they can write a whole big note without using full stop. Everything be comma. Ojo is a boy, comma. Why? Because they are not familiar. They don't have the full knowledge of the sentence type that we have. We have simple sentence, which includes the subject, verb, and object. We have complex sentence, where we combine the subordinate clause and the main clause. Then we have a compound sentence, where you make use of the coordinating conjunctions to bring them together, either conjunction 1, conjunction but, or all of those. Then we also have a correlative conjunction, neither nor, either or, all of those. They are used to construct complex, compound, simple sentences. So when you are able to use them well, you'll be able to write a very good essay. You may begin with a compound sentence. After that, use simple. After simple, you use complex. After simple, after complex, you just vary your sentence types. It will make your examiner to enjoy your write-up. You are going to score high in that way. Then another thing I want to add to it is that, number one, whenever you are writing your essay, always make sure you use idiomatic expressions. When you're writing an essay without idiomatic expression, it's as good as when you are cooking your fried rice without putting your Maggi. It's not going to be very delicious as it's supposed to be. It will be delicious, but it's not going to be as it's supposed to be. So the same way, when you're writing letter writing, when you're writing essays, make sure that you spice them with idiomatic expressions. You spice them with phrasal verbs. You use your paragraphs well. And once you do that, you are going to score a very good mark. Look at this question. It's a formal letter. This person was formerly a student of that school, but now he was out of that school. So it's to write a letter to the principal. So it's a formal letter writing. So in this case, you are going to have two addresses. You have the address of the writer on the right hand side, then the address of the recipient on the left hand side, just below the dates. And after that, you have the topic, or you call it the title. In an informal letter, there is no need for title. But in a formal letter, there is room for what? For title. Then it's that title that will tell the examiner in advance what you are writing about. So it is very important that you have that. Put that one at the back of your mind. Then when it comes to the language, in informal letter, the language is very lax. Because you are writing to your friend, to your father, or to your dad. So you are free. You can use any colloquial expression. But when it comes to formal letter writing, the language is very strict. There are rules that you follow. There is no room for colloquial expression. There is no room for contrasted form of words. Maybe you wanted to write was not. You now say wasn't. No, it is punishable under expression. So you are supposed to write, you want to write in full, in formal letter writing. Then having said that, then when you now get to the closing remark, like I said in informal letter writing, you are going to use yours sincerely or yours affectionately under examination condition. But when you are not writing an exam, you may decide to use anything you want. You can say yours truthfully. You can say your lover. You can say anything. But when it comes to examination, you either use yours sincerely or use yours affectionately. But for formal letter, you are only permitted to use yours faithfully. And after yours faithfully, you sign. After signature, then you write your surname and your first name. Your surname can also be called your last name. So you write your surname or you call it your last name and then the first name. And that is the end of that one. Then the other one I want to mention is that's argumentative essay. There always being caution on argumentative essay. That one is always very bloody at times. You don't need to be dilly-dally when you are writing argumentative essay. If you want to say that female children are better than male children, let it be known from the first paragraph. And you maintain that side of the argument all through to the end of your essay. I have seen a candidate who started by saying female children are better than male children. But in the body of the essay, every point he raised was posing female children, supporting male. And at the end of the day, in the concluding paragraph, he now said female children are better. So what we just did simply, under content 0/10, under organization 0/10, under mechanical other expression you are going to get out of 8 instead of out of 20. You are going to get out of 8. Another mechanical accuracy, of course, it is normal, you are going to get 0. So take note of these things. You always say, many of you always say that it's only drunkard that mark your script. Na lie. Drunkard does not mark any script. If I tell you drunkard should mark your script, there are processes. You have examiner, you have team leader, you have chief examiner, you have checker, you have beta. All of them will have gone through your papers at different stages. If anyone should commit any error in the process of marking your script, the other one will have discovered it. So there is no how. It is a fire to say, it is a drunkard, they don't mark it, that's why I did pass English. No, drunkard do not mark. If at all if they mark, we have team leaders, we have a chief examiner, we have checkers, we have betters who will go through it. Even up to the point, we have to record first on the attendance sheet. After that, we have to record on the OMR. After that, we have to shade. So the process is very rigorous and very tedious. It is you that you have to master the guiding principles to passing English language excellently. And once you can master it, then definitely you are going to become a master. So now we go to the comprehension aspect of the paper 2. When we talk about comprehension, we are talking about ability to read and understand. That is comprehension. Ability to read. And once you have read, you are able to grasp what you have read. That is comprehension. And every aspect, many aspects are being tested under comprehension. Number 1, they will text you directly based on the passage you have read. Questions will come directly for the passage you have read. Unlike summary, you can copy your answer directly from the passage, but it must not be too long. If it is too long, then you are giving the examiner the opportunity to go and look for the answer. It could easily give you 0. So you are at liberty to pick your answer directly from the passage. So they will test you based on your understanding of the passage. They will ask you several questions. That is number 1. Then number 2, they will test you based on your understanding on classes of words. We have 8 parts of speech. We have noun, we have pronoun, we have verb, we have adverb, we have adjective, we have preposition, we have conjunction, we have interjection. And mind you, nobody will ask you that what is a noun. No. They will just underline certain portion for the passage, and they will ask you what is the grammatical name of the expression underlined. That is question 1 in one aspect. They will say F1, what is the grammatical name of the underlying expression? Then number 2, they will ask you what is the function of the underlying expression. So once you have not mastered your classes of words very well, it's going to be very difficult for you to answer that aspect. In fact, many people find it difficult to answer that. Some will get the name, they will not get the function. Some will get the function, they will not get the name. So there are different things, so they will ask you. The other thing that you are going to be tested on figures of speech. Figures of speech. They will give you expressions and they will underline that what figure of speech is this. In English language, unlike literature that you have almost 50 figures of speech, but in English you only tested maybe on only 5 occasionally. We have similing, we have metaphor, we have personification, we have hyperbole, and then we have so we have, you test you on that, you just underline it, what is the name of this expression, and then what is the meaning. And after that, you are going to be tested on your knowledge of synonyms. They will write out, they will underline some words from the passage. So once they underline the words, they will ask you that replace it. All right, look at this. For example, who was his pioneer staff? Who was his pioneer staff? Look at the question now. What grammatical name is given to this expression as it is used in the passage? As simple as it does, 1 mark. They will ask you what is its function, and the function is 2 marks. So for you to answer this, what you need to do is that you go back to the passage. Let's go back to the passage, sir. You go back to the passage. You locate where the expression is brought out. All right. Normally they usually underline. I don't know why they do underline this. Okay. This is the place. The first thing to do if you want to get to that expression, number one, locate where the sentence begins and locate where it ends. That's the first thing. And this sentence begins from, however, Alani's secretary, who was his pioneer staff, did not give up on him. The sentence begins from however and it ends with him. But look at the underlying portion. Who was? No, I'm still using that one. Who was his pioneer staff? So they lifted this and they now ask you, what's the grammatical name and grammatical function? So for you to get it, begin from where the sentence begins and ends where it ends. Then you'll be able to get the answer. All right, let's look at this now. However, Alani's secretary, who was his pioneer staff, did not give up on him. Who was his pioneer staff? Stop at this place. This is the subject. This one is a qualifier. Giving us additional information about Alani's secretary. So, because it is introduced by relative pronoun, WHO, relative pronoun, so we call it relative clause, if it is a clause. So the first thing, once you see this, you know it is a relative. Because we have others like who, that, which, whose. So when you see them at the beginning of an expression, that is telling you that is a relative. But how do you know whether it is a clause or phrase? If it is a phrase, it's not going to have a verb. The underlying portion will not have a verb. But if it is a clause, it's going to have a verb. And look at this, who was in his pioneer staff? So the verb here is was. So definitely, this one is a relative clause. Then how do I get to know the function? Once you see this indicator, just move forward like this. The word before it must definitely be a noun. It is a must. Because the underlying expression is giving additional information about the noun. That is the duty of an adjective. An adjective will qualify a noun. Initially, we call it adjectival clause, but along the line, Waec say no, don't call it adjectival again. Let it be relative clause because it is being introduced by relative pronoun. So, however, Alani's secretary was his pioneer staff did not give up on him. So, it is a relative clause. There was function. You will say it qualifies. It qualifies the noun Alani's secretary. It qualifies. Or you say qualifying the noun Alani's secretary. It qualifies the noun Alani's secretary or qualifying. So there are two ways to write it. If it's instead of you to say it qualifies, if you say it qualify, that is -1/2. As simple as it is. Subject and agreement concord. It, singular. Qualify, that's plural. That is error. So instead you say it qualifies. So I always advise my students that instead of say it qualifies, why not say qualifying the noun so that you not lose half mark. And so we say half mark is very simple. Half mark is something. Half mark you can have A1. With half mark you can have F9. So it all depends. So always work for your mark. Always work to get the marks. So from there we move to the last question there that always come out. All right. They said, for each of the following words, find another word or phrase which means the same and which can replace it as it is used in the passage. You always meet this. It's possible that the word you've used to replace this may be correct, but once it's not in the marking scheme. What is marking scheme? The paper we are given, the guide we are given to do the marking. One, it is not there, you miss it. Hello students, trust you have been enjoying the class so far. Please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Also like, share, and leave a comment. Thank you. So, like I was saying that this aspect will always come out. They will give you the list of the words. What will guide you in this regard is that the environment by which the words are used will help you. Another word can be synonymous to the other word, but once it cannot replace it as it is used in the passage, definitely it's not correct. The second thing I want to say under that is that the class of words is very, very important. Number one, if the word given to you is a noun, you cannot replace a noun with a verb. If the word given to you is an adjective, You cannot replace an adjective with a noun. If the word given to you is an adverb, you cannot replace an adverb with a verb. So take note of that. And this is 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark, 1 mark. And when you add them together, that's 6 solid marks. 6 solid marks. And many a times, candidates, they use a dictionary meaning. Dictionary meaning does not work at times. It does not work. What you need to do is that once you look at the word, look at the context of usage, the environment, what comes before and what comes after. That is going to inform the word you are going to supply onto it. And another thing is that if you write it, if it is correct, if you miss the spelling, you get 0 there. So that is all about comprehension passage. So quickly move to the summary. I'll just tell you the nitty-gritty of summary. Summary, it demands your total concentration. And I always advise candidates that whenever you are writing an exam, the first question to answer is summary. Because by then, the brain will still be very fresh. The atmosphere will still be very quiet. So you can easily read and understand the passage. One thing about summary is that you can get 30-30 in summary. As well, it's very easy for you to get 0/30. So once you understand the passage, all you just need to do that, understand the passage. So once you understand the passage, then you'll be able to bring out the summary. And the way they are doing it now is very simple. Unlike in those days, they can give us like 5 pages and they will ask us to summarize it in 2 paragraphs. In those days, 5 pages, you summarize it in 2 paragraphs. But the passages you are given these days, they will have helped you to list the points. All you just need to do that, they becloud you with examples and illustrations. Many of you end up copying the examples as your points. So the way they will write it, you know this is the answer, and that's not the answer. So you need to understand. You need to know when a point is made, and you need to know when an illustration is being made. So when you can just oppose between the point and the examples, it's very, very easy for you to get 30-30 under summary. The pitfalls in summary are, number 1, though you have the answers literally littered on the page or the passage. If at all you still close one eye and open another eye, you still be seeing the answers. But you are not expected to copy the answer. We call it mindless lifting in marking. Mindless lifting or verbatim copying. As it is, you just lift it. That is 0. Automatic 0. You don't negotiate it. That is number 1. Avoid that pitfall. Don't copy. That's number 1. Then number 2, you can answer comprehension questions in phrase. You cannot answer summary in phrase. You answer in a sentence. The question says in 3 sentences. Can you see? A sentence will have a subject, it will have a verb, and it will have an object. That is a sentence. A sentence will begin a capital letter, and it will end with a full stop or its equivalent marks. So in 3 sentences, 1 for each. Summarize the factors that make some youth go into armed robbery. If you go to the passage, you see that the points are there. All you just need to do is that identify the point and break them down. All the adjectives there, delete them. Delete them. All the synonyms there, delete them. Then you go at the end of the day. All the illustrations, examples, remove them. You now see that you are just simple thing. Like Jesus did. We have 10 commandments. But when you get to Matthew, he said, the command is that you love the Lord thy God with all your heart. And then you love your neighbor as yourself. 10 commandments. Jesus summarized it into 2. That is summary. Brevity. You remove extraneous. That is number 2. Always write it what? In sentences. Don't write in phrase. If you write in phrase, you are not going to get 0. But instead of out of 5, you are going to be marked out of 2.5. And once you are marked out of 2.5, every other penalty for any grammatical blunder, minus half. For anything that is not supposed to be there that you add to it, that is minus 1. We call it extraneous. Extraneous. What is not supposed to be there, you put it, you just ring it, that is minus 1. So out of that 2.5 now, you have lost 1.5 already. So you are left with 1 mark. So take note of that. It's very, very important. Always make sure you don't copy directly from the passage. That's number 1. Then number 2, make sure you write your answers in sentences. If you write in phrase, you may still get 1 instead of 5. Then the last but not the least, you can number your summary. Someone say you don't number, it doesn't matter. You can number. You may decide to use preamble. You may not use preamble. For example, what do I mean by preamble? In 3 sentences, 1 for each, summarize the factors that makes some youth go into armed robbery. If you want to write with a preamble, you can start from here. You say the factors that make some youth go into armed robbery are, so you list 1, 2, 3. So that is preamble. So with that preamble, they will add it to your phrases. It will make a sentence, and then you get your full mark. Or you may decide not to use preamble and just go straight by writing them in sentences. You start with capital letter, you end with a full stop. So that is just about. And for the summary, you have 30 marks. For the summary, 30 marks. For the comprehension, 20 marks. For the essay, 50 marks. And that is altogether 100 marks. And since I've been marking, the highest student I've gotten is 53 over 100. That is the highest. Only one person has scored 1 out of 10 other mechanical accuracy. It's not that I'm wicked, but they ran foul of the rules of engagement. So don't take anything for granted. If you want to write a word and you are not sure of the spelling, please change the word and write another one. So if you can follow all these rules, I want to assure you, passing excellently in English language is very, very simple. And I always say that English language is the simplest of all subjects. It's the same way they be setting the question, nothing has changed. All you just need to do is that if it's formal letter writing you are going to write, sit down with formal letter writing. Anything you need to know about formal letter writing, do it. And always encourage my students as well that we have series. You can begin to copy essays that you have there and letter writing, as if you are writing another book. So as you are writing it, you are learning as well. So I want to encourage you, study hard. I know you will pass it. It's automatic, you will pass if you work hard. Then another thing is that get your series and be closer to your dictionary. I assure you that English is very, very simple. Hello students, trust you have been enjoying the class so far. Please hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. Also like, share, and leave a comment. Thank you.